Good evening, my fellow nightfarers. It is a night full of dark terrors indeed. We are gathered here to
Mostly
discuss...
just random players.
Oh my god, the darkness that I must sift through as I see the dregs of humanity that I must play with.
Admittedly, you were the
Elden
random
Ring
player
Nightreign.
last night in our duo, Ben.
I absolutely was. I had probably the worst run of my entire gaming career.
I'd say he probably spent like 70% of the Night Lord fight dead.
Just on the ground. It was embarrassing. I redeemed myself the run after that, but that's like by far the worst.
I mean, the funny part was while he spent 70% of the fight dead, we did get it down to like 1/3 health still.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And what's so embarrassing is that I was doing great during the run. I was doing totally fine during the run. I was dropping pins. I was the shot caller and doing fine in all the night 1 and 2 bosses, field bosses, and all that. But then I went down immediately.
Died to the opening breath attack, and then it was just downhill.
I just didn't have a feel for the range that was needed playing as the archer, as the Iron Eye against this big old dragon that I just got caught in his AoE, and it was just down all the time. It was embarrassing.
I don't remember I think it was that one where you went down, the guy went up to raise you up as he was doing the big ceiling AoE.
So that was also bad. It was the guy also that was incapable of bringing me up, or would bring me up at the worst possible time to then get himself killed, or just would kill me immediately after getting up. It was a bit of a shit show on that one. But yeah, I have a little bit more sympathy now for the submentals that I've been playing with when I queue solo.
That's right, folks. We're talking about
experience.
Elden Ring Nightreign, because we haven't introduced the game yet.
I slipped it in before.
All right.
I was going to say, this is the experience of being the only person on the subway car and then realizing you're the crazy person.
Yeah. Yeah, so general thoughts of the game, though. So we've been playing for, most of us since launch, which time is a flat circle. It feels like it's been forever. It feels like I've been in the trenches for months and months and months. Despite having some critiques that I will maybe pepper in throughout this conversation, it has absolutely succeeded in the fact that it has become the type of game where it's all I think about. I was dreaming about the sound cues of this game. Half of them are, different than base Elden Ring, but it was just how satisfying the stance break and critical hit sound cues are.
Yes.
It just permeated my being right now.
Followed by the frustrated sound of a player who's stuck on some geometry and can't get to the...
I don't
get
like
the stagger!
I don't like the sound of when somebody dies. That just makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
But general thoughts. What do you guys been thinking?
So I'm with you, and this game has reached the level of I don't want to pay attention to the important things in my life that I need to pay attention to. Feelings.
Andrew automated his job yesterday to play during the afternoon.
So yeah, that's a sign of a successful game, in my opinion. I agree. There's definitely some critiques. There's some things that I think need adjusting.
I don't think any of the critiques or anything like that are massive enough that they couldn't be fixed with some minor patching.
I agree. And I think the problems that I had kind of voiced early on are skill things and knowledge based things that I have gotten a handle on. We are now consistently hitting high level to the point of even hitting max level relatively consistently, figuring out the pathing problems. Originally I had felt
it means you go out to the castle, you fight a bell-bearing hunter in the basement, you then fight all of the trolls throwing magic pots.
Yeah, that's the most efficient way of your game time, folks. That if we can give you one tip for your runs, it's do all of that. But I remember I was talking to Andrew, I think on an early run, was I just wish that you had even an extra minute on each phase of the night. I just before the circle closes in, because I was I feel I'm just rushing too much and I don't have a sense of where to go, what to do, and that just became something that I got more and more comfortable with.
You just have to play the game.
Yeah. Just like driving, when you start driving, 20 miles an hour feels fast, and then it feels slow now that you've
Call yourself a
driven
Connecticut citizen?
For 15... Well, I'm talking about when you're 16, the first time you get in a car.
Yeah,
you're driving around the parking lot and you're going 15.
When I got my permit, My dad put me on 84 and was like, take us home.
Your dad is a king amongst men, for sure. It's like sink or swim, buddy.
I think I drove home from the permit office. Doesn't matter. It definitely, like a rookie moving on and becoming a veteran player in the league, the NBA, the only league we care about. The game slows down and
you can
don't
make that
feel
more
as
approachable
rushed.
just by saying like any like high school level sport going from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior.
No, we're at the pro level, and it slows down.
I don't know. I've watched what I would consider to be pro level Nightreign play, and we are definitely not pro level Nightreign play.
No, true. But this game has outperformed my expectations and how much time I'd immediately wanted to sink into it. And I'm not going to jump into my critiques, but I do have a little bit more. I think they can be fixed in patches, but mine are more almost technical critiques as opposed to gameplay itself, I think.
All I have to say is they cooked. And that's all that needs to be said, really. And the reality is, this is the type of game I can see. I don't think it's going to be the type of game where it's the only thing you play all year, like a Fortnite, if that's your type of thing. But I'm thinking what it ends up being is it's a game that you play with your friends. You get to the point where you get to. A couple months in, they drop a patch or a free update that adds in some new night bosses or maybe randomizes some loot pool or something like that. You jump back in with your friends. A couple months later, they drop a paid DLC that maybe it's a new overworld map with couple new night lords and a new class. You jump in with your friends, you do that. And like, I feel like they can dot this out every couple months and pull this game into like a 2 to 3 year lifespan pretty easily.
It would be a surprising, multiplayer game that would, kind of keep me coming back. And I do feel like if a game's going to do it, it's going to be,
it's going to be Duskbloods.
It's going to be a From game. Let's be honest.
Well, that's the thing about this game that I'm excited about is it's them experimenting a little bit, and I think they've earned the right to experiment with, their output and how they've done in the past decade. But it also allows them to, test pilot different things. So like, I feel like we're seeing like the bones of what Duskbloods is going to have in it.
But which is itself going to be different because it's not going to be, it's going to be multiplayer.
No,
but
it's
going to
be PvPvE.
Because you're not like, because that's one of the major issues, right? Is finding people to play with and having to play with the random player base makes it really hard. And we've been doing good about finding time where the three of us can play and fill a full party. And it's much better, obviously.
Even if you just have two, finding a single player isn't too bad. It becomes more difficult when you're doing remembrances, as we talked about.
They have fixed that matchmaking, and that's, I guess, a good transition into the technical issues that we've experienced. I would say it's been largely pretty clean. The only things that I've seen are like, you get some good frame dips
We're playing on PS5 and PS5 Pro.
I've seen some latency.
PC has some different issues.
Yeah, I've seen some latency issues, and I have never disconnected. I have never dropped and disconnected while playing. I've had a couple people in a random match I could tell didn't leave by choice, that they got disconnected. And the one that I remember
we had a guy rage quit yesterday, and then his rage quitting caused Andrew to leave.
Yeah, it was weird.
Momentarily.
Yeah.
For me though, it was the bird. The bird seems to have the biggest glitch rate from what I've seen online.
Interesting.
The Guardian class, there's a whole meme trend of the fuck ass bird moment.
Yes,
where it's
floating.
He just starts spinning and then floating away.
He literally spins out.
Yeah, that seems to happen frequently.
I like the bird's passive of a 33% chance to lose.
Yeah, have anybody else experienced anything else besides that? No, I think it's
just a couple frame glitches here or there, which again, I'm not expecting them to do it because I don't think it's necessarily something in their wheelhouse, but like a PS5 Pro patch would fix pretty much anything I've experienced.
Yeah, I've not experienced any drops in quality to the point where I would think it's something that is, changing your experience with this game for sure. Do want to just say though about the matchmaking, I think it's a miss to not I don't understand why they can't just make this game scale for 1, 2, and 3 groups. To me, that seems like something, you just manipulate the numbers a little bit.
It scales for
bing,
1.
Bang, boom. I know, but why? But not great. And
I've seen some things. Well, so one, we know there is confirmation that duos is coming at some point.
there is.
They've confirmed that is something that is coming, and they have said.
Very cool.
I posted some comment somewhere where somebody was basically saying it's tantamount to asking FromSoftware to put difficulty sliders in their game to have them balance for multiple difficulties. And I'm like, first off, that's a stupid argument, because even before the patch, they were already doing solo and 3 people. So they're already doing that. Even though they say, 3 people was always their vision. Sure, great, that's awesome. But they are automatic.
Because no matter what you do with like an enemy health or damage slider, the total number of enemies doesn't change. So if you go into a camp and there's it's a Red Maid Knight camp, you're still going to have a fuck ton of additional knight enemies running around.
Yeah, you want to pick the right type of class. Like classes like the Guardian have some good crowd control things that like can kind of clear trash.
You want to pick Executor, no weapons, just use
just parry, and Wolf Fist,
and become your inner wolf.
I'm the alpha. I'm the alpha, the omega. Yeah, but so like duos, it's like, they're already trying to balance for multiple things, and they're already patching balances. So that argument holds no water to me.
My thought is right now it's just a simplicity standpoint of solo is just you set it to offline, you play by yourself, and then trio.
You don't set it to offline. You literally, when you go into matchmaking where you would normally invite players and stuff, you go to the bottom and you just hit a button and it goes from
there's also a setting
solo
that lets you toggle that so that you don't have to do it every time.
No, once you do it, it's set until you reset it to multiplayer.
But what I'm saying is it's a simple.
You're still online.
You queue as a 1 or you're queuing as a 3, and it's an easy toggle back and forth. Adding that second toggle can make for an interesting addition to matchmatking.
I don't think it's technically that.
Because then you have to be looking for people who are doing
No.
Two people who want duo queues, or 3 people who want trio queues, or
no, fuck that. You just make it so that it's fine to still be 3 or 1, but if you are matched with a friend, you shouldn't have to matchmake with a third. Like I don't understand why that isn't just a simple thing to do.
Yeah, it can make I see what Matt's point is. Yeah,
I get Matt's point, but it doesn't have to work that way.
It can further narrow matchmaking pools, but like
right. But I'm fine with making it so that duos is just you have another person and you don't have a third, and you don't want to play with a random. Like it doesn't need to be
an additional complication.
No, Andrews is saying that actually makes it much easier. It's just literally like that.
Just only if you have
it.
A match made.
Yeah, it's solely just for friends, and that's what people are asking for. People are like, I have one person that I can get to do this with,
like,
but
no, why would you? If you're just a single and you want to match with randoms, it doesn't matter. Make it 3. Like, who cares? Why would you want to do it as a duo? I get that. It just makes sense to be 1 or 3.
Well, because it would depend on, scaling. Because I don't know if you've watched any solo gameplay, but solo, the scaling is pretty noticeable with the way the damage works. So maybe you're more confident going in as a duo. Say you're carrying as a wilder, so that you don't have to worry about a third teammate jumping in and adding complications.
I don't know. I think those are issues that are not really that major, or would be under most people's consideration. Just think the whole matchmaking situation brings me to like the major complaint that everybody has is just the dearth of communication tools that you have. Because I don't even think you need voice chat. I think you just need a more robust ping system.
Yeah. I don't think voice chat would be a good addition to this game.
It would get super toxic, no doubt about it. But a better ping system.
Pretty sure our random Iron Eye last night would have called you multiple. He was probably calling you multiple things,
multiple slurs. Yeah, absolutely. But the better pings would be better. But like, I'm just thinking about even when we're playing as 2 with a random, our inability to do what we did last night, like the ability to like communicate and manage our ults. Is a huge thing. Like in order to truly lock down bosses in the most efficient way possible.
Supposed to use their ult to prevent anyone else from doing damage to the boss.
It really becomes a problem, and like it makes runs so much more manageable when you have a viable way to communicate those things. To be like, I have my ult up, yours is coming up now, so I can use mine, so we can kind of time and stagger things out well.
The interesting part there is I don't know.
Both Iron Eyes shoot off their thing at the same time. And now 2 of the players go down, and there's no way to res, and Iron Eye doesn't have DPS to bring people up from 3 bars without the.
I'm just thinking about button mapping on the controller. I don't know what buttons they have available to be able to, because like in Overwatch, you had your radial menu that you could pull up that had your basics like my ult is ready, follow me, hello, and follow through that. Because in this game, they give you the prattling pats, which give you your basic communication.
Which I haven't bought any of those. How do you actually use those in game? Have you tried using them? Are they in your inventory like where emotes are?
I think they sit as an item, but maybe they're in the emote section.
I don't think they would sit as an item because then it would fill up.
That's how it worked in Elden Ring, because they were just an item in your inventory.
Yeah, but they can't work that way because you have such limited inventory slots on your run. It's got to be on like the emote thing.
Back to what I was saying is I don't know where they would fit that, because like on the PS5 you could be like, oh yeah, just use like swipes on the touchpad. But the Xbox doesn't have a touchpad, so they would have to have a method of accessing that in the same way. PC, you could be like, okay, they've got a keyboard, so they have more access to key binding that would give them that ability, but you need to have some way of parity across the 3 platforms.
Xbox bringing everybody down. God damn.
You're right about that being a problem, I think.
Because every button is used right now.
Yeah, but you could also just, at the very least, have an icon indicating the status of the other players to their skill and their ultimate, which
but if you that
would at least help
fix the
a little.
Issue of 2 Iron Eyes have it at 100%, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to use my ult now, and then they both use it simultaneously.
Right, you gotta hope. Yeah, you gotta hope. But at least that's less likely to happen, because like if I see we both have it, I'm just gonna fire mine off right away to make sure one's being used.
That's the mentality that both of them are gonna have.
And we know Iron Eyes again. They each have one brain cell and they share it.
Yeah, they're like
it's shoot. That is the brain cell.
Yes.
The superior archer is the Duchess anyway.
All right, so that's a good transition. Favorite classes. What's everybody's main right now?
I am the soul-brained Iron Eye. I will wear that badge proudly.
You know, I've been dipping into Iron Eye when the situation calls for it.
We did a triple Iron Eye for.
Yeah, it's a fun class
for the big whale, the big sleepy whale for Augur.
I was going to call it a jellyfish, but.
Not it poops jellyfish, but it is
me. It actually reminds me of the Elden Beast more than anything.
It's one of the frustrating thing about the Night Lords is that they are way too Elden Beast coded in that they're constantly running away and just go from one end of the arena to the other, and it's really fucking annoying.
Admittedly, that is probably part of the building a game for 3 players, because you have to have something that gives the boss a chance to escape.
Yeah,
so that
I get it. It doesn't.
3 wilders can't just sit at its feet and just charge heavies at it and stagger it constantly.
Like, I get really annoyed as it's not my main, but it's probably my second main is the raider, who has like a beefy endurance meter, but just chunks through it with his normal attacks. And then if I'm constantly trying to run after the boss, I get there, I make one swing, miss, and then I'm out of stamina.
You haven't mentioned what your main was yet.
So I went into the game being like, I'm being the big bonky boy. I'm going to main Raider. And he's okay. I like him well enough. But then I ended up being the Wayfish little girl. I was maining Revenant for a while, although I've moved a little bit away from it and been doing more variety of recent runs. I've been doing, so obviously Revenant, Raider, but then I've been doing Iron Eye when called for, Guardian, some Recluse, which I've gotten a much better feel for. It's just like she's so boss dependent because so much of her abilities are actually closer range than you think. So I was like thinking I want to fight her. Use her against the ice dragon because she does a lot of fire attack, but then I'm like right in the middle of all the frost and do not have the
your
health.
Ultra instinct and dodge everything instinctually like I did for the last 30% of that fight.
So, she's more situational, I feel like, but I'm getting a better feel for her. The only ones I haven't played as are Wilder and Executor,
which leads into mine. I have beaten a Night Lord with 4 separate characters. They're the only 4 I've played as.
Me too. No, me too.
Executor, Duchess, Iron Eye, and Wilder. And I wouldn't say necessarily I have a main. I tend to more flex fill with what's needed for the boss, which has mostly turned me into a Wilder player because the mobility is very useful.
works for most things.
The mobility is good.
Well,
And
what
the
I've found,
and the
especially
fucking
with
pile
Wilder,
bunker, the fucking pile bunker is just
well, yeah, the iframes you get on that is huge because I was using that a lot to get under the dragon last night. And then when he started to charge up his AoE, I would use my ultimate to tank through it and try to stagger him out of the attack.
Yeah, it worked a lot. But yeah, since you can charge it, you're just invincible for all that animation. It's sick.
But what I found is most useful with Wilder is not necessarily using the grapple as an engagement tool, but a disengagement tool. So I was using it a lot to skirt around the breath attacks yesterday.
Cool. Yeah, it's one that I want to get more familiar with, largely because, like, apparently, he's the poster boy for the game.
Because I want the Artorias skin.
His remembrance is like one of the longest and the most like kind of story focused.
Yeah, it's very interesting to look through the remembrance quest and see some characters where it's like, oh, wow, you do 3 things and it's over, and then you look at Wilder and it's like
the Revenants was so fast. It honestly unlocked immediately.
Well, that makes sense though because you also have to unlock the character.
But it's also not like it's a difficult thing to unlock.
Yeah, but it's a little bit out there where it's not, unless you know what to do as like a random player, you might not figure that out.
Yeah, but I've had hers done like basically within the day that
I was gonna say her. Like day two of it being out, you had already.
Wilders requires you to beat the whole game.
So does Iron Eye, at least to like fully complete it, more or less.
Yeah, there's actually a good portion of them that don't fully complete until you've beaten the actual.
Wilders also requires you to get to Noxtella.
So yeah, that's the final shifting.
That's the final shifting Earth.
So what do we think about the general gameplay loop? Matt's already said they cooked. If anybody can make this shit work, it they've proved it.
I'd say that the one thing is that the roguish elements are a tad light, which is probably why more people are overall enjoying it. Because the randomness is still there, but like it could be a little more randomized.
Yeah,
like the one thing I would add in like an upcoming patch would be some sort of NPC or item you can interact with that you could spend merc on that can either randomize your shifting earth or let you select the shifting earth event that you want.
I would assume that once you unlock
after you've completed it.
So I think what's probably going to happen is that like once you've unlocked all of the shifting earth, it's going to be much more random. We've said basically, we're only going to have the rotting wood now until we unlock the final one. And then we're only going to have that one basically until we beat the game. And then I think it'll
having
cycle
Noxtella active for the Night Lord is probably the best because that's a free revive.
I think the gameplay loop is perfect. I really think overall they did such a good job of distilling the highs and lows and at pure comedy of a FromSoft game, a Dark Souls game, into these 45-minute...
by a Draconic Tree Sentinel as you take off.
Yeah, exactly. Of these 45-minute to an hour-long gameplay loops. And they've made it just a perfect get-together with your friends and play Elden Ring game. It is... I can't imagine a more perfect multiplayer experience for Elden Ring than this. I wouldn't want to play as a group in Elden Ring base game. This gets me to have those experiences. Exactly.
I understand why people like that. And say if you had like a partner that you were playing with, sure, that's like a different story. But I know for those type of games where it's so open-ended, it's the reason why we fell off of something like Divinity Original Sin, too, is because it was fun to play. It was really good. We loved the game, but it was just like so hard to progress with how infrequent we're able to do it. That's why
Elden Ring's multiplayer is set up the way it is, where it's essentially you're gated to the smaller areas. You're gated to Stormvale. You're gated to your traditional castle types or sections
not
of
even
the
your
open
support
world.
role for boss fights, more or less.
So this is I know it's personal to me because the seamless co-op mod on PC is huge. People love it. A lot of people get a lot out of it.
I didn't know they had that actually. That's cool.
But it's not for me.
Modding has everything.
This is better for us and for I think for most kind of mature disparate play groups who it's like, yeah, we can hop on for at least a run, and that's it. Like, then you can either go and progress on your own, try your best with the fucking idiots that you get paired with in random. But I'm not like, nobody can play today, so it looks like no Elden Ring for me, type of thing, Whereas the runs repeating is better for co-op. I do agree. All right, we're running a little bit tight for time, so we're about a little bit beyond halfway through the Night Lords. We've got, I think,
we've
3.
Got 5.
We've got 3 left. For the most part, I think that they've been.
I would like to add a boss
high,
rush type where you can play them individually without having to do a full night.
Yeah,
even if it doesn't give you rewards, just to be able to play them again.
I find that they've reached high highs and low lows. Like, I objectively don't like some of them. Like, the atmosphere is great, even the music is great, but like fighting Augur, the big jellyfish one, fucking sucks. It's boring.
That one's boring.
It's boring. It sucks. It's either if you're not coordinating stuff like ults to be able to knock him out of the sleep thing, it's just you're cooked. But not.
The hardest part with Augur is just it's not really melee inclusive fight.
Exactly. Right. No, right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like you just got to be all ranged and you got to be coordinating in a certain way.
It's easier when you have the Augur invasion.
Oh yeah.
Because for some reason it seems to stick to the ground a lot more. So like when we've had the invasion, the 2 times we've had it, me as a wilder, I've been able to get underneath it and chunk it away pretty heavily with some charged heavies.
It's because they know when people are choosing it for the run boss, they're like, yeah, they're going to plan accordingly. Whether it's in the class they pick or the build that they are going after, they're going to be ranged focused. Whereas this could be a run on fucking, the dragon or whatever, or the madness goat.
Which dragon? Because there's 2.
Yeah.
And I dislike that kind of design philosophy that I do think they incorporated a little too heavily, which it just seems that they did make it so that some bosses you have to do a certain play style.
That's back to their roots.
I disagree.
I
entirely disagree. I entirely disagree because their roots are that you can beat the game with any type of
you don't
play
know
style
that, though,
you want.
You haven't played the full roots.
But
Demon Souls is filled with gimmick bosses.
But bosses that can be handled
give
by
you something
to
do it.
By almost. Yeah, the true gimmick ones are basically, it's like anybody can do it. Here's the fucking Stormcaller thing.
Yeah, that's the gimmick boss.
Like, take that, or, like an archer who may not be able to hit I forget the name of all the demons, but the big guy who's got the wound in his side that melee people hit and then he gets knocked out. Or, if you're a ranged character, just stay up on top and shoot the fucking eagle, the bird thing on his head. So, like, there is way more ability to use different builds. They are not forcing you down a particular path where some of these boss fights do. I do think it is a slight departure, and that goes against the core philosophy of this game being try to play with whatever you fucking get. That you can try to make any equipment, any build possible on
That's
any
why
character.
Duchess is the best character.
Because she's got a shit ton of variety in what she can do for build.
Spellcaster, dex build, bow build.
So that's like my one, I think, major design critique, is that some of the bosses just are not fun to play because of that mechanic. Others of them are just 10 out of 10 pure cinema. And like we beat Fisher in the Fog last night, and the music, oh my god, and the spectacle of the big area attacks are just crazy cool and really fun. But yeah, it's been a bit hit or miss, I would say, for the end of day bosses.
I think I'm only really down on Augur is really the one I'm most down on. Even the other, I have some frustrations with, I think, the one with the butterfly, but even that I'm still not nearly. It's only it's just not my favorite.
Yeah, we thought we had to do all ranged stuff for that one, just focus on the butterfly, but no,
you have to go one range, 2 melee, because that's.
We let the Iron Eye take care of the butterfly, and then we were just chunking the scorpion.
Yeah.
All right, final thoughts. But we've already kind of talked on hope for future updates, and yeah, my major one for a future update is I hope that they put in a new map entirely. Like that.
Yes. I hope it's just Caitlyn.
It's just Caitlyn. Fuck. Oh my god, I was about to say that would be the best way to get me to come back and to sink more time into it, because you have to find the new route in the.
You can already picture out So like we're doing Limveld, so that's Limgrave. You'd have a Kaled type, you could have a Altus type, you could have technically you could have a Mountaintops type, but I doubt that with the way the Shifting Earth works. You could have a DLC Shadowfell type.
Really hope they do like a full kind of Noxtella version.
Just as long as they don't do the.
You could do a Shiefra River.
Yeah. That's like the there's some like really gorgeous areas in the base game that you could.
It's not Farum Azula. Just not Farum Azula. Please, no. God, not Farum Azula.
I want a Kaled with a Farum Azula Shifting Earth.
Oh my god. But so yeah, if they did Kaled, I'd be like, I think I'm good on that, Chief.
Yeah, but you see, if they did Kaled, you set it up, you have the rotting woods so that you get the immunity to Scarlet Rot. Then boom,
and then you just Chad Radon through everything. Just like, can't stop me now. Hell yeah. That would be
the thing I would like to see is them to keep adding, not just to the Night Lords, but just to the night bosses and the field bosses in general. I think they have a lot more things they can pull from. I think essentially they've pulled 2 bosses from Dark Souls 1, 2, 3 is what it looks like, if I'm remembering correctly. Little frustrated that one of the Dark Souls 2 bosses they pulled was Freya. Just
that's
my
the big
own.
Spider. That's the big spider, right?
Yeah, Duke's dear Freya.
Yeah, a bit of an annoying one.
Because like,
although I was melting her as the Iron Eye with the barrage skill. I was just like, just pinging that face really, really fast. All right, we're hopeful that they continue to develop
Sekiro bosses.
People are like, oh my god, I can't handle it when the run comes in and it's fucking Nameless King and Ishin Sword Saint duo. Like, no,
it's Orphan of Kos and Ishin.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So I think they've got a lot of things that they could add to make it compelling to come back. So that's
like I said though. I think it's going to be the type of game where it's not going to be something you play full year. It's going to be something you play. Then they're going to update it. You'll go back and play it again. Then they'll update it. You'll go back and play it. You'll get pockets.
But for me, I wouldn't go back for just like the little updates. It would have to be like, here's a full new map or a full new Night Lord type of thing. Then like, yeah, I'd go test that out. But it would really be a new map would what would really draw me in for another like really strong run of it.
Which there's already announced paid DLC, which I already paid for. So.
Yeah, me too. With the
I'm hoping they add classes.
I was talking to like the Best Buy guy when I picked up my copy, and he was like, "What do you get in the deluxe edition?" I'm like, "I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember." And that was it. Is that you get it future DLC?
Yeah, it's just the included DLC.
This game is totally a great deal for the cost. $40 is a steal. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of playtime. I'm with you on give us another map. I will fully dive back into this.
For like another like 40 hours.
Yeah, what if they give us the Fortnite map and we get to drop into Tomato Town?
Hell yeah, that sounds great. All right. I think that's going to do it for us today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back in a couple weeks with a video, I think, on the Switch 2, because Matt has his in hand. Mine should be arriving
in
a couple
days.
3+
million other people already.
You can be on the lookout for that video, maybe with some unboxing footage. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never done anything like that.
Game of the year. That's all I'm saying.
Boy. All right. We will see you next time.
Nightreign, pure cinema.